Yeah. So let me share my screen here so that I can just explain you more better. Do you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes. Okay, great. So you're talking about majorly on this particular IaaS and PaaS and SaaS offerings, right? Okay.
Yes.
If somebody is not speaking, can you please be on mute? Thanks. Yeah. So here, let's say you as a hardware engineer, right? Okay. Let's
Yes.
say, for example, okay, you might be already familiar with how the data center operations looks like. So within an organization, if at all if you wanted to use any sort of services, okay, so we need to be hosting those services within a data center. Uh, I would recommend you to please be on mute if you're not speaking. Thank you. So let's say even if at all if I wanted to have a server, if at all if I wanted to have a storage, if at all if I wanted to have a certain dedicated network and a security and all those stuff entirely managed within your data center. And let's say for example, if you are working for a company called Wipro, so if Wipro has a their own data center, so they will be managing this entire thing. Okay, so there is
Okay.
like a old method of managing the IT or IT application needs. Let's say
Okay.
if I wanted to host an application, okay, they will be purchasing that particular hardware, right? So
Mm-hmm.
okay, so to buy a hardware, okay, it will minimum cost you something minimal bare minimum hardware also it will cost you some 50,000 to 1 lakh, and
Yes.
licensing cost, and on top of that, okay, so they have to purchase the middleware and licenses and virtualization and storage, and they need to have a dedicated network, security, firewalls, and there are many stuff which are included,
Yes.
right? So spending this hell lot of investment, time, and efforts, okay, companies sometimes, okay, they are feeling it as a very burden.
Mm.
So what this cloud computing, what this cloud, these some of the companies like a Microsoft or Amazon or a Google, what they have come up like instead of you managing this particular entire thing, we will give you as a service. Okay, we are having our own data centers, and whatever the services that you needed for hosting your application, we will provide you. Okay,
Okay.
and as part of that service, okay, they have segregated into multiples cloud computing service models.
Okay.
So they made it as IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Okay, we'll talk about each one of with detailed examples also. But coming
Okay.
back here, so these companies, okay, came up with an idea saying that, boss, you don't worry about buying a hardware, managing the hardware, buying the licensing cost, okay, for hosting your web applications. Whatever you need a underlying infrastructure. When I say a
Mhm.
word called infrastructure, so for some of the people who are pretty new for IT, infrastructure is nothing but whatever the underlying hardware we needed for hosting my website. Okay, so that we call it as an infrastructure. That entire infrastructure and additional security and storage I will provide, and you will just pay for me whatever you're using. Very simple. And I
Okay.
just compared this example yesterday with some of the bounce bike and Zoom car.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that could be the best example I would say. And coming back here with the service models, in case of IS, what will happen is, so here, okay, to spin off your server, what are all we needed? We need a storage, we need a dedicated network, we need a hardware, and we also need certain virtualization things. So
Yes.
these things, okay, that cloud provider in case Azure, they're telling it as a Microsoft. They're telling that boss, I will manage this. On top onto that, so whatever the operating system you wanted, let's say whether it is Windows or Linux, and the middleware. So we have a middleware like Tomcat, Apache for the Linux machines, and when it comes to the Windows, we have an IaaS, that is web, like Internet Information Services, that we call it as a web
Okay.
server, right?
Observe.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that is the middleware that you need to take. And to run your application, let's say I'll take the consideration as a .NET like Windows server. So within a Windows operating system, if you enable the IaaS, that is Internet Information Services, you need a runtime. Okay, so Windows will be supported mostly for the .NET. Okay, so I will be taking the .NET as a runtime. Okay, and whatever the data that I wanted to store on the .NET application I wanted to host, I will be taking care of this rest of the thing, you as a customer. So as part of this IaaS service, so this cloud providers will provide only this dedicated network, storage, and hardware and virtualization. On top onto that, whatever the operating system that you wanted, and whatever the middleware you wanted, and whatever the kind of application that you wanted, it's entirely your choice. Okay,
Okay.
so we have some of the services probably as we progress. Okay, so you might understand more better. And as part of this particular infrastructure as a services, we will be keenly discussing about the networking. Okay, so if
Okay.
at all if you wanted to host any services, if you at all if you wanted to create any servers, we need to have a specific design network. And on top of that network, okay, we'll also designing the firewalls and some of the UDR rules and some of the TCP rules and all those stuff we'll discuss in detail. And let's say if you have something, okay, we need certain storage also, right, to store certain data.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll also discuss about the kind of storage services, okay, that currently Microsoft is offering. And we'll also discuss about servers, which we call it here as a VM, that is virtual machine.
Virtual machines.
Yeah, so on your on premises, okay, this is your on premises, that means company's data center. There you will be calling it as a server, and within this Azure, okay, we call it as a virtual machine. But when you go to the AWS, okay, they call it as a instances. Okay, so they will
Instances.
be having a different terminologies, but the end of the use case is like we are creating a server. And these servers, okay, they're managing a virtualization technology. If you call the technology, how they're changing. Initially they're using the physical servers. Later, this Hyper-V and VMware came into the picture, and now, okay, we are using the cloud. Okay, so they're going to use this particular Hyper-V related virtualization technology here, okay, for creating your servers. So this underlying bare minimal things, okay, whatever we need, it is, I will call it as a hardware. This entire hardware is provided by the Microsoft as a cloud provider as part of this IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service. On top onto that, whatever the operating system you wanted and everything, okay, you will be using as a customer, and you will be paying for it, okay, for the usage. Okay, we'll also discuss, okay, how these pricings are calculated. We'll discuss them in detail today. And this is pretty much about the IaaS. And when it comes to the platform as a service, so what will happen here is, so here, okay, they're just offering this particular hardware, and you will be creating the server, and you will be enabling the middleware, and you will be hosting application, right? So in case of platform as a service, okay, what it is, what it gives cloud providers are like, they will be managing this entire headache. Let's say for example, managing, creating the defaults. You don't need to create any servers here. Okay, whatever the things you needed for running your application, everything they will they will give it as a service. So we have some of the service like web app services we have. And we also have something like Azure Kubernetes service. You might have heard about AKS. So those are the services, okay. Okay, so Microsoft is providing as a managed services. What we can do is, okay, we can just simply deploy our code, and we can just put our data into this particular services. Okay, that is kind of a platform as a service. So here what you're doing, you're creating a server, and you're enabling the middleware, and you will be hosting your website. But here we don't need to take care of all this stuff. Here we'll just simply create that particular service, and we will just put our code on top of this service. Okay, so this is one of the managed service. Okay, it is reducing the human efforts. And when it comes to the software as a service, it is kind of a plug and play. Let's say, for example, if you go for any office rental, okay, everything will be designed, and office setup, chairs, and everything will be there. You can just go out and use it. And I'll give you some of the example for this software as a service. Outlook, right? So
Yes. Yes.
most of you working. So Outlook is one of the SaaS service. Okay, you're not doing anything. Okay, what you're doing, you're just signing it up, and you're using it. And
Yes.
yeah, so like we have a Office 365. Okay, within Office 365 we have like a set of suites, right? Like Excel we have, Word we have, this particular Outlook we have, some of the Yammer, and this particular MS Teams also. So currently, if you are working, you are already using the MS Teams, okay, for the communication purpose with your team and customers. So that is also one of the SaaS offerings. You're doing nothing, you're just simply signing up and using it. So those are like some of the offerings we have within Azure. So if you already have any one of the SaaS offering which you're already using it, we can just integrate to Azure, and we can just use it. So these are the some of the cloud service models, okay, different service models that we have within Azure. And we'll also discuss about some of them now, okay, when I'm showing the portal demo. I'll walk you through what are the services which belongs to IaaS, what are the services which are belongs to PaaS and SaaS also.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah. So I hope, okay, so you might, got some answers from this question, and going forward, you will understand more better. And what was your other question?
Uh, the other question was this hybrid and private
Exactly.
network, public network, and hybrid.
Exactly. So when I go to this particular, deployment models, okay. So yeah, let's say, uh, if I wanted to host an application, okay, so I need to have a certain servers, and I need to, hosting that particular, application or a code into that particular server or service, right? So, so here what we can do is, okay, let's mute Sarath here. Yeah. So let's say for some of the companies, okay, so when you host a application, what you're doing, you're putting your company's data or information into the some other company's data center. Let's say, for example, if you are from a company called Wipro, let's imagine, and you are, hosting some application or a database on the Microsoft data center. Okay, if you are using this Azure means whatever the application and whatever the data that you are storing, it is stored in a Microsoft data center. Okay, they
Okay.
are they are providing these, services from their own data center, and you're just paying back to them. So some of the companies might be having a restrictions, and they don't wanted to keep their data into the public cloud. That means putting the data into the public cloud means you are putting your company's data or maybe your project data and everything into the Microsoft data center.
Yes.
Yeah, so they will be having certain limitations. In those scenarios, okay, they go with this particular hybrid cloud model. So what they can do is front-end application they might be hosting in a public cloud. That means, let's say, for example, if I wanted to have an application called abcd.com, and to host that particular abcd.com, whatever the server I needed, if I go with IaaS model, or maybe if I go with some PaaS model, whatever the services which Microsoft is offering, I can use their services and I can just, host my application in the cloud. But to store the some of the content of that application or any information of that particular business use case, I will be managing the database on my on-premises itself. That means in my company's data center only, I will be managing that particular database, and I will be establishing the connection to this particular application to my, on-premises database. And whenever, if let's say, for example, this is kind of like, submitting some request. Okay, so I will come to this application, and when I fill this form, that data will be stored into the database, okay, which is having on your own data, on-premises data center. So this model we call it as a hybrid model. So that means, okay, for your use case, you are using the, public cloud as well as your private cloud. That means your on-premises data center you are using, at the same time, okay, you are using your Azure services. This is we call it as a hybrid cloud. You got
So,
it?
yes. Now I have one doubt for my understanding. So, I'm audible to you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So, here, the thing here is public cloud in the sense I can give an example as Google Chrome. I can fetch anything, I can take it from it. So,
Mhm.
like public cloud, private cloud in the sense is inbound in the office. So, whichever like there are data that need to be taken from my end, I can browse into it and I can take it from my end. So, is this correct or
Yeah, so
wrong?
somewhat similar, but let me elaborate in a more better way. So, what did you understand by the cloud computing? Okay, as a
Hmm.
cloud computing, what we're getting here, these cloud providers, they are providing the certain services which are required for your use case for hosting
Yes,
your
through
application
internet.
and everything through internet,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Exactly. So, private cloud is nothing but it's a company's own data center, and within that data center also we will be having certain services for hosting your application or for storing your data, right?
Yes.
And these services are utilized by the company's organization employees only.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
that means, okay, it is specific to organization level. But when it
Yes.
comes to the public, so anybody can use it. Okay, so Microsoft is coming and saying that, I, like, let's say, I have these services, okay, to solve your business solution, business problems. Okay,
Mhm.
and I'm just offering these solutions, and you can just simply use it.
Okay. So it is like forum.
Yeah, it is kind of a forum.
Okay.
Okay, And what they will tell is like, yes, okay. So I'll give you the very basic example. So on this private cloud is something like your own bike. What you will do
Mm.
with your own bike, you will only use it. You will not
Yes,
give for anybody else, right?
yes.
And coming back to the public cloud, it is something like, bounce bike.
Some car bonds or
Anybody,
anything.
anybody can use it. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Today I'm using it. It is not restricted that, I only have to use it. If you're using for 1 year also, so for 1 year, whatever the price they provide, they will give you, you have to pay for that.
yes,
Okay, same thing will happen here also. So on-premises private cloud is nothing but it is specific to the kind of company what they're let's say for example, if I take example as a Wipro, and if Wipro having one data center, and they will be using these particular services.
okay,
Okay. And when it comes to this particular public, it is open for everybody, anybody can use it.
okay.
Understood? Yeah.
Yes, got it.
And I think, are you clear with this, Shravani? I see your message also. You can just type yes, okay, if you're not able to speak. Great. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, before we proceed. See guys, okay, so I want you to be very clear, okay, in terms of understanding the technology. I see some of you are already coming from an IT background, and if you have a feeling, some kind of side feeling that can I ask this question or not? If I ask this question, okay, is it okay? If you have certain things thinking, okay, so remove that. Be open, clarify your doubts.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to have one query. Like, is this like if you are now we are going into the networking concepts and everything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
VMs and all these things. So
Yep,
is there anything mandatory that we have to know about the networking concepts, the protocols, the topologies, and everything? Is there
exactly.
anything like that?
Exactly. If you're already familiar with it, okay, it is very easy for you to understand. If not, okay, I might be not covering entire from the scratch, but wherever the things, certain things needed, okay, I will be covering from the beginning to make sure that other folks also understand it.
Okay, okay, fine then.
Yes.
Clear.
Anything else from others? Okay. So I'll quickly recap what we discussed from yesterday, so that we'll proceed with today's topic. Okay. Let me open my notepad here. So just to recap, okay, what we have discussed, okay. So yesterday we have discussed like, so what is meant by cloud computing? Can somebody tell me what is meant by cloud computing?
Computing is nothing but an internet service which we can use over the internet. The services which are can be used over the internet.
Exactly. Okay. So what are the advantages, okay, by moving to the cloud? We have discussed
Uh,
some of these three
yes.
advantages.
Like we need no need to buy or license or security.
Exactly. So yeah, so when you talk
Cost
about
effective.
yeah, so the first thing will be like a speed.
and server also.
Yeah.
Speed,
So speed, and what else we discussed? Scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
scale.
So, yeah. And at the end of the day, economics, that is pricing. Okay, so these are the some of the advantages, okay, which companies are able to get, okay, so by moving to the cloud. Good. So before when Azure started, okay, what they used to call, and what year they have introduced this particular Azure.
Sorry, sir, I didn't get you. Please come again.
When Microsoft started the services Azure, right? So what,
Yes.
which year they started, and in the beginning what they have certain name.
2010 it was started. First is AWS.
No, yeah,
No,
so
this is
in
Windows Azure. Windows.
Windows Azure.
exactly. So in the year 2010, okay, Microsoft has started this, Azure services, and that time they used to call it as the Windows Azure. And later in the year 2014, okay, so maybe they just they have come up with a new solutions, and that time, okay, they started calling it as a
Microsoft
Microsoft
Azure.
Azure.
Microsoft. Okay.
Great. So yesterday we have discussed some of the certification paths, right? So, okay, let's say for example, if I wanted to go for the Azure administrator, okay, so the kind of a training what we're going to take, okay. So what is the name of the certification?
It is like 108.
Sorry. Yeah, you're almost
B
there.
is at 104.
AJ 104.
104. Yeah. Then
Okay.
108. Yeah.
Yeah. So remember this, guys. Okay, you should know what are the certification paths, okay, that we have. So we have discussed some of the certification paths yesterday, and as part of
Yes.
our, yeah, so we are going to discuss about the major and Azure administration. So for Azure administration, we have a certification path called AG 104. So to give you certain background of this particular certification path, okay, earlier we had the 70 something like a 533 we had. Okay, so I think it is somewhere like 3 to 4 years back, and later they made it as like AZ 100. Okay, and later, okay, so they if you wanted to get a certification of the Azure administration, so we had a paths like AG 100 and AG 101. If you clear these two, you will be getting a certification of the Azure administration. But later, okay, so they have again renamed this particular Azure administration certification path to AG 103. Okay, and now the current certification path that we have, that is AG 104. The reason behind changing the certification names for the similar Azure administration over the years is like so they keep on adding certain new technology stack or new services. Okay, so this is a kind of background. Okay, so about the certification path. So as I mentioned, so earlier, okay, we used to have a certification path for Azure administration, that is 70533. Later they made it as AG 100 and 101, and later 103, and currently we have AG 104. Great. Okay, so within India, let's say for example, what are the regions we have? How many regions we have? How many data center we have? We have seen yesterday.
3 data centers.
Exactly.
Chennai,
Yeah. So within
Pune,
India,
Mumbai.
exactly. So within India, we have a three region. India is completely one region. So within the region, okay, we have a data center like we call it as South India. Remember this particular
Yes.
region names?
South India, Chennai.
Yeah, yeah. South India would be like Chennai, and we have like a Central India. So Central India would be like can somebody tell me what is Central India?
Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Yeah, it is Pune, and
Pune and Mumbai.
yeah. So West India will be like Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Yeah. So these are the three data centers we have, okay, within India. So I heard a news that even Microsoft is planning to set up a data center in Hyderabad also in going forward. Just imagine that, okay, if you get a data center in Hyderabad, the kind of opportunities and growth what we will be having, the customers who are using nearby Hyderabad. Okay, so currently at this moment we have, but when it comes to this our overall regions, okay, we have almost like 65 plus regions. Okay, region includes, okay, countries, and within a regions, okay, we can have multiple data centers. Yeah. So did what else we discussed yesterday? Yeah, I think, okay, I just gave some brief about these topics, I guess, yesterday. And today let's go ahead and discuss about some of the basic things, like I'll quickly walk you through the Azure portal. Okay, so let's say if you wanted to log into the portal, the URL is portal.azure.com. So remember this particular URL. Once again, I'm repeating. If you wanted to log into the Azure portal, the URL is portal.azure.com. And remember, most of the Microsoft portals will be starting with a name called portal, and this is we are using for Azure. That's why azure.com. Okay. Great. So let me quickly walk you through some of the features, okay, which Microsoft is offering, and how to log into the portal, and how to create a subscription. Okay, those things, okay, probably we'll discuss tomorrow. But for today, let me walk you through the some of the features, okay, in a portal. So to show you certain things, let me open the incognizant private window, and here I just simply say portal.azure.com. So this is a URL. Remember, guys, click on enter. So when you click on enter, so here, okay, it will ask you for the username and password. Okay, so this username and password, okay, you will be getting it, okay, when you create a new subscription. But how to create a new subscription, probably we'll discuss tomorrow. So here I have my email ID called ajurramakrishna@gmail.com. Okay, and click on next. And here, okay, it will also ask me for the password. Okay, so let me enter my password once again, and I click on enter. So as soon as I provide my email ID and password, okay, so here it is asking me to, you wanted to stay connected. Let's say I don't want it to ask this question again. Let's say yes. So it is, started authenticating with my credentials. Okay, so once this particular authentication is done, I will be able to log into the portal. And here you could see I'm under a page called potato.azure.com on a home page. So now, so forget about these things. Okay, we'll discuss those later. So when you create a free trial subscription, you are given with certain credit points. So that is something like 14,000 credit points you will be given with. And once you start practicing these services, okay, those credit points will be consumed. Okay, so let's discuss about some of the options and view of the portal here. And when you log into the portal, okay, so this is how the home page looks like. Even once you join any company also, we are going to use the same portal, and the view will be looks the similar. Nothing there will no nothing will be different. So here if you see on the right top corner, it will give you the the kind of user who is logged in. Okay, it will be having the complete information. Here you could see the name, okay, the name of the user. Okay, that is log in with my email id, that is ajuramakrishna@gmail.com, and email id. And here you will be having certain tenant id. So if some of you already working for your organization active directory, you might be having certain tenant, right? So that is the id of the tenant which will represent your organization active directory. And we also have certain domain. So since this particular free trial account was created using that particular email ID called wiki34 something, it is giving that particular domain. But within your organization, you might be having a domain name called, let's say if you are working for Wipro, you might be having a domain name called wipro.com, right? Okay, like you will be having like let's say for example, my name is Ramakrishna at the rate of wipro.com. So whatever that at wipro.com we have, right, that is called domain. Okay, so whatever the company that you're working, along with your name, first name and dot last name, and at the rate of, you will be having a company's domain name. Okay, if I'm working for a TCS, I will be having the name like Ramakrishna at the rate of tcs.com. tcs.com is the domain name. So likewise here, okay, so this is the domain here, and within this particular Azure, for Azure Active Directory, you will be having the company's domain name and dot on microsoft.com at the end of the domain. Okay, so these are the complete user profile information that you could see on the top right corner of your Azure portal. And we'll quickly discuss about these features also here. So this is something like a cloud shell. Okay, so whereas if you at all, if you wanted to use certain bash scripts or a PowerShell scripts, and if you wanted to execute those certain basic commands or scripts, we can use this particular terminal. Okay, so this also we are going to discuss, okay, in live sessions, okay, in upcoming sessions. And let's say if at all, if you have a access to the multiple subscriptions and a multiple active directory tenants, and if you wanted to switch between one tenant to the another tenant, you can just use this particular tab. Okay, so when I click on this particular tab, let's say I'll click on here. I'm sorry, let me click on back here. Yeah. So here you could see, okay, I'm under portal setting up directories and subscription. This particular email ID, that is Azure Ramakrishna, had an access to these many directories, because if somebody creates an free trial account, I will be asking for the access, okay, and they will be providing. And those subscriptions are already expired. So that's the reason, okay, I have one directory by default directory which is currently active. So here you could see the kind of other settings also. Let's say if I go to the languages. Yesterday, if you remember, so Azure is supported for almost like 18 languages, right? So here you could see under this particular language and regions, so I can choose any one of the language I wanted. Okay, so let's say for example, if I wanted to go to the Japanese, okay, I can choose the Japanese here, and I can just say apply. So it is asking for for the validation. I just simply say yes, and my entire portal will be converted into the Japanese language. And here you could see on the top right, I'm getting the notification saying that so you wanted to translate from the Japan to the English. So even my entire portal also will be translated into the Japanese only. Can you see here? And if somebody is already using this Azure features, okay, from a Germany, okay, they can just convert their portal into the Japanese, and they can use it. Okay, so let me change back to English very quickly. So here, okay, I'll choose the English. Okay, here you could see the complete 18 languages, 18 languages which are supported. I go with the English as a default, and let's say I'll say okay, I'll say apply it, and my portal will be switched back to the English. Okay, so this is some of the regions and languages that we have. Okay, so here you could see complete different languages and other things. And when you go to this my information, okay, when you pass your email ID, okay, it will give the complete details of your ID. And if at all, if you go here, okay, we can set up certain sign out notification also. Let's say, for example, when you're using your laptop, right? So when you don't use the laptop for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, what will happen? Your laptop will be locked by default. Okay, similar feature, okay, we can set up here within this particular portal. Let's say here you could see sign me out when inactive. So after you log into the portal, if you are not using the portal for a certain period of time, let's say for 30 minutes or 1 hour, so by default, okay, your account will be logged out. So if you wanted to set up certain use case, you can do that. So for now, here I just kept it as a never. So let's say if I keep it as a 15 minutes, if I don't use this particular portal for next 15 minutes, my login will be automatically logged out. Let's make it as a never for now. Okay. And within a portal itself, okay, some while you accessing, okay, you could see some of the URLs, okay, useful URLs, okay, specific to these topics. If at all, if you wanted to go through them, okay, you can just click on these and they will be able to navigate to the Microsoft document. So how to look at the documentation also, I'll walk you through, don't worry. And this is something about that we have under this particular directories and subscriptions. And we have a notification tab here. So whatever the activities which you are performing, and it will be notified here. Let's say if you are creating a certain network or a storage account or something, and if you are deleting certain things, okay, it will give you the notification here saying that deleted or created whatsoever. Okay, and when you go to the settings tab, so yeah, so we have a similar features under the settings which we have already discussed. And this is something like let's say for example, if you have any issues, okay, let's say after hosting your applications and infrastructure, if you have any issues, so using this particular tab called support and troubleshooting, we can go ahead and raise a request with the Microsoft also. Okay, so you can go with this particular help and support. How to raise a support request with the Microsoft, we'll also discuss later. And we also have some of the Microsoft communities wherein you can post your queries, and if they might be answering you, okay, with the required details. And if at all, if you wanted to explore the documentation of the Azure, okay, you can just click on this particular document and it will be navigated to the Microsoft Azure documentation. And I think yesterday somebody was asking for the certain documentation links. So I would recommend just go through this Azure documentation. I'll come back here back again. So once we discuss about the some of the offerings. Okay. And this is something about it. And if you wanted to provide certain feedback to Microsoft and Azure portal, you can just pass some your experience. And this is it on the top right corner. Now let me move to the Azure portal menu. So this is we call it as a portal menu. Here you could see now the name portal menu. Okay, so under this menu, let's say currently this is hidden, right? If you wanted to make it as a always available, so under the settings itself, yeah, I think in within appearance, I missed it. I missed this particular option. So here you could see docked, right? So when you keep it as a dock, and when you click on apply, all these options, portal menu options will be always displayed. It will not hide it. Okay, if you wanted to hide it, you need to hide it manually. Okay, and when you keep it as a flyout, so those options will be flyed out. That means hide it by default. Okay, let's me apply these changes. Just a second. Yes, I'm not able to minimize my, yeah. Okay, so I can just say apply here, and these particular options will be hidden. So this feature is available under the settings tab. Okay, and now So we discussed this one. So let's come back to the portal menu back again. So within this particular portal menu, okay, let's quickly discuss some of the features here. So when you see here on the top portal menu, we have something like a home page. So within a home page, okay, you could see these are the some of the options that we have, and here you could see some of the services which you are using recently. Okay, so these are the some of the resources which I have used. Don't worry about those. We're going to discuss in upcoming sessions. And when you go to the dashboard, we can create a certain dashboards. Okay, let's say if you wanted to monitor your servers and the network and everything, we can create certain dashboards and we can monitor from here. How to create those dashboards and how to monitor and what to monitor, we'll discuss in detail. And something we have all services. So this is important now. So we'll discuss about this and using this, okay, you might clarify some of your doubts also. So when I go to the all services, these are all the services, okay, Microsoft is offering, okay, to use for the enterprise customers. Okay, so and they have categorized all these services into the different categories. We have a compute category, we have a networking category, storage, web, mobile, containers, database, analytics, blockchain, AI. You might have heard about these particular technologies, right? Let's say if I go to the compute, so under the compute, I might be having a servers. And when I go to the networking, so what are the features, okay, which Microsoft is offering all these, features I will be having here. And when I come back to the storage, to store your data and, for the kind of storage and what are the offerings we have, we can see here. So I'll walk you through the step by step here. Let's go to the all first. And when I go to the all, here you could see the complete kind of all services, okay, along with their categories. So these are all the, kind of services, okay, Microsoft is offering now. Okay, when I click on all, you could see all the services. But if you wanted to go with the, category, you can go to the general. So as a general category, that means, okay, so with respect to specific to the portal and the general stuff, here you could see all resources. When you click on all resources, it will show you all the resources which are created under this subscription. And we'll discuss about the management group later. Don't worry. The beauty here within this particular Azure portal is whenever you don't understand some certain service name, right? Let's say, for example, if I keep a cursor here on my management group, and the right up here, it will also give you the certain information with the specific useful links. So when you click on this particular overview or a specific documentation, you will be navigated to the documentation page of that particular specific topic. And here if you go to the overview page, you can see everything, how to create it and everything. You will be having a very good documentation. Let's come back here. So let's see what are all the services we have under compute. So here you could see these are all the compute services we have, okay, for creating your servers and hosting your applications and some of the things. And when you go to the networking, so these are the services I have. Okay, under a network, okay, you will be having a public IP, route table, express route, network security group, and DDoS protection plan, and load balancers. Okay, so these are all the offerings, okay, we have under this particular networking category. And some of the load balancing concepts like traffic manager and local network gateway, application gateway, and VPN gateways. These are all things, okay, we'll discuss in detail. And when you go to the storage also, okay, we have some of the storage accounts and their types, and we'll also discuss them in detail. And apart from that, we also have some of the storage types which will be useful for the different use cases. So we'll also going to discuss about them in detail. And when you go to the web, okay, for hosting, these are the web is something like some of the PaaS services for hosting a web application. App service is one of the PaaS service, and the storage, network, and compute belongs to the IaaS solution, that is infrastructure as a service. But when you go to the web, okay, these are the some of the solutions coming as a PaaS offerings. Similarly, if you wanted to host any mobile application, okay, you can just use this particular specific services. And you might have heard about this particular containerized technologies like a Docker and Kubernetes, right? So those offerings also Microsoft is providing as a managed service. Okay, you don't need to worry about them. You can just simply create here and use it, and everything will be managed by the Microsoft in the backend. And if you wanted to use certain databases, okay, to store certain data, okay, we can have these many very wide variety of databases. We have a Cosmos DB, we have SQL, and we also have like Postgres. Okay, somewhere you might see here. Okay, so data factories, okay, all those stuff. And coming back to the analytics tools, okay, you might have heard about like a Hadoop, right? Power BI, and some of the services. Okay, Spark. Okay, so these are the some of the analytics tools. So my Azure is providing those services here as a PaaS services here. Here you could see Azure Databricks, and HD Insights is one of the cloud-based suite for the Hadoop. Okay, so these are the offerings. Okay, we can find it under the analytics, and when you go to the blockchain. Okay, so you might have heard about this particular technology called blockchain. So these services also Microsoft is planning to provide as a service here. And if you see something is like a preview here, that means Microsoft is still in a beta mode. Beta is nothing but they're still performing certain development on this particular service. And when you see some service as a preview, you're not allowed to use them in a production environment because Microsoft will not give you any support if something goes wrong. Okay, it is not GA, that is globally available. So you could say some of the services here, okay, they're like completely available, and Microsoft will give you the complete support on these services. But if you see some of the services as a preview, so they are like still in a beta mode. Microsoft is still performing certain development activities on that. Similarly, we have machine learning and AI. Okay, so these are the services. Let's say for example here we have a board service. Let's say for example when you go to any one of the portal, right? Okay, let's say when you go to the Amazon, okay, they will ask you for the what you want. Okay, you wanted to have a product information. Okay, they will give some information default as a boot. Okay, those services also here you can use. Okay, under this particular AI and machine learning. Okay, so and we also have a IoT technology, that is Internet of Things. So we can see these are the services. Similarly, we have integration, and if at all if you wanted to integrate some of the services for the messaging purpose and some other services you can see here. And coming back to the identity, you might have familiar with Active Directory on your on-premises, right? Whenever a new employee joins, that new employee user ID and password and some other profile will be created on the Active Directory. Similarly, we can extend that Active Directory into Azure Active Directory also. So these are the some of the offerings that we have for Azure Active Directory. And similarly, yesterday I was talking about the security, right? Once you host your application, you are concerned about the security. So these are the some of the security services, okay, which Microsoft is offering, and we are going to discuss some of them, okay, while we progress. And yes, okay, so DevOps, okay, so which is not going to cover as part of our training, but yes, so some of the services, okay, could see for the DevOps as well. And let's say if you wanted to migrate some servers, let's say I have my application which is running on my company's data center, and if I wanted to migrate that application or a service to Azure, I can use this particular migration services. We have like Azure Migrate, and we also have some of the services like ASR, which is available within this recovery service world. We are going to use them. And for setting up the monitoring, okay, once you have your application and infrastructure, you have to monitor, right? So these are the services, okay, which Microsoft is offering. And similarly, we have like a management and governance Intune and others. Okay, so these are the different wide variety of offerings, okay, which Microsoft is offering, okay, to solve your business problems. And coming back here, okay, so here you could see I'm under the Azure documentation. So based on the wide variety of category, let's say for example, if I want to have some documentation on networking level, I can go to this particular networking category here. Let's say I'll go to the networking, and under networking I have these are the services, okay, I have. So let's say if within these, okay, if I wanted to have detailed documentation on load balancer, I can click on this particular document and it will be routed back me to the load balancer document. And here you could see on the left hand side, okay, so if I go to the overview page, and here I can clearly see what is this load balancer is about, and it will be hardly 3 minutes read. And Microsoft will be keep on updating this particular document. Here you could see, okay, so they have made some changes on the January 25th. So that's the reason I always recommend you to use the Microsoft documentation itself. Okay, and here you could see with detailed examples with specific architecture diagrams and how to create them, everything, okay, will be having a step-by-step documents. Okay, similarly some of the tutorials, some of the samples, and some of the concepts, some of the how-tos, and everything you will be having. And some, let's say if at all if you wanted to have this entire document as a PDF, you can just say download PDF here, and it will be downloaded this entire information as a PDF, and you can just go through it. But it will be having some hundreds and thousands of pages, so it will take some time, okay, for the download. So we'll come back here. I'll come back here. So these are the pretty much features, okay, which we have, okay, under the all services. Okay, so these are the all services, okay, which Microsoft is offering. And you could see on the same portal menu itself, some of the features are favorite, okay, which are coming as a default. If you are using some of the services, okay, very frequent, you can just mark them as a favorite. Okay, let's say for example, I have a subscription option here, and if at all if I wanted to have this particular option here under the favorites, what I can do is I can go back here and I can just check this particular favorite button. When I check this particular button, that particular option will be coming up here under my favorites. If I go down, can you see I'm having the subscription here? I can just simply drag it and drop it also. I can move it here up and down. Okay, so here you could see I'm just now moving to the top. So if any service if you are using very frequently, instead of you searching it all the time, I can just make it as a favorite and I can use it. And let's say if at all if you do not wanted them as one of the service as a favorite, what I can do is I can just put it here and I can just uncheck it, and that particular service will be disappear from here. So this is something like how we can navigate to the portal and how to use the portal. And within a home page itself, okay, so we have some of the additional tools. Okay, so we have like a Microsoft Learn. So within a Microsoft Learn, okay, so whatever the document you wanted, so we can just simply find it here, so which is still loading. And if I go to this particular PDF, okay, it is still generating a PDF. Yeah, so here you could see Microsoft Learn. So within this particular Microsoft Learn, okay, you can find all the path to get started. Okay, so all the learning paths, okay, you will be having as a modules, and you will be given with a certain time to complete it. Okay, so here you could see yesterday I have provided you this particular learning path, right? Okay, for the fundamentals. If I go here, I'm not sure how many of you gone through this, but here, so it will give you the complete fundamentals about the cloud computing, as well as some of the fundamentals for the Azure. Okay, here you could see understand the benefits of the cloud computing in Azure and how we can save your time and money, and explain the cloud concept and a high availability. These are the some of the topics we haven't discussed. What is availability, what is scalability, what is elasticity, agility, and everything. So we are going to discuss in upcoming sessions. Okay, here they have segregated into different parts and series. Okay, so here you could see under below that also some of the Azure fundamentals, which has the 8 units, 43 minutes read. If at all if you wanted to go to the introduction, click on the introduction. So we'll be having the detailed clear document. And when you go to the next unit, that is what is cloud computing. Okay, so here you could see some of the videos, okay, from the Microsoft also. Okay, so it will be given with a certain technical definition also. And what is Azure if you wanted to see? Okay, here you could see what is Azure. Okay, what does this offer and all those things you could see. Okay, I would recommend you to know here you could see the some of the things, okay, on a portal, so which we have already discussed. What is marketplace and these things, okay, we'll discuss later, but yeah, for now you can see for it. And if you wanted to do the have the tour of other services which we discussed just now, complete Azure overview. Okay, we discussed about these services just now, but they just made it in a single page and just showing it. We have seen it what under the what we have compute, under what we have storage and all. Okay, so based on the category you can go. And to get started, if at all if you wanted to have Azure account, okay, how to create an Azure account and what are the hierarchies we have, so which we are going to discuss this tomorrow. Okay, and once you have these particular things, okay, you can go with the case studies. Okay, they will be given with a certain questions and all, and at the end, okay, you can have a knowledge check also. They will be given with a certain true or false questions, whatever you have read earlier, and you can just test your knowledge here. Okay, so that is a Microsoft Learn, okay, which I strongly recommend you to go through it. And here you could see this particular entire load balancer related file, okay, which is generated as a PDF, and you can just download it. Let's come back here. So this is something about the Microsoft Learn on the homepage, and related security can go here. And here we have some of the useful links also. Okay, so for the technical documentation, when I click on this particular technical documentation, again it will be navigated to the same page where I have the Azure documentation page. And similarly, okay, I have Azure services and recent updates. This is very important, guys. So sometimes even in interviews, okay, they might ask you what are the some of the recent updates, okay, which Microsoft is released for the Azure. So you can just go to this particular URL, okay, for the updates, and here you could see recent updates. So you can just remember this URL also, azure.microsoft.com/updates. Okay, you can get it here. So these are the some of the things, okay, which Microsoft has started, providing some updates on the different services. And coming back here, okay, we have some of the migration tools and the quick start center. When you click on this particular quick start center, Microsoft will navigate you to use some of the services, how to use and what to do and all. Okay, so this is pretty much about this particular entire Azure portal menu. And if at all, if you wanted to search for certain certain things, okay, you can just search here. We call it as a global search. We can just simply say, let's say if at all I want to have a network, and here we call it as a virtual network. Okay, so here you could see the virtual network which is coming, and the some of the services, okay, coming under the virtual network, and you can click on it and you will be navigate to this particular virtual network tab. So this also we're going to discuss in detail, don't worry. Yeah, yeah, so this is pretty much okay. So on how we can log into the portal and what are the wide variety of services we have and how to navigate from where to where and other things. Okay, and to calculate some of the pricing also, probably since we have very limited time, so let's discuss that also tomorrow. And just to give you some idea, so maybe I'll just go here. I just simply say Azure calculator. So here I can see the Microsoft Azure pricing calculator. So here you can go and based out of wide variety of categories what you see here. So you can just choose any one of the service and you can see how much it will be costing per month. Okay, I'll just show you any one here just for the use case. Let's say here, okay, these are the wide array of categories we have seen, right? The offerings and the services. Let's say, do I have anything here in the bottom? Nothing. Okay, so let's say for example, if at all if I wanted to use some virtual machine, one server I'll take as an example. Okay, I'll just take only this particular server, and when I click on it, so it will be added into this particular calculator here. And if you come down, okay, here you will be able to see it will be added here. So which is still adding, and here you could see virtual machine is added. So here you could see this is the virtual machine which is added. So here you need to choose the kind of size you wanted, and the region where you wanted to host, because Microsoft is having a multiple data centers, right? So let's say for example, since I'm from India, I wanted to go with the India region, and within India we have these other data centers. Let's say I wanted to go with the Central India, or maybe let's say I'll go with the South India. uh, yeah, okay. When I choose the Central India, here you could see the price which is coming as a $143 per month. And let's say if I choose it as a South India, okay, this pricing will be varies to the $73. And similarly, let's say 173 that it is. Let's say if I go with the East US, okay, the pricing again came back to the $137. This pricing is varies based on the region and data center. It is not constant for all the regions, remember that. Okay, and let's say for now, just for the use case, I will go with the South India. And here you could see what type of operating system you want, Windows or Linux. When I go with the Linux, okay, it will be given with some limited price. And when I go with the Windows, okay, the price will varies back. And OS or any additional disks you wanted. And these are the tiers we have, but that is for the sizing. And we have some of the services for the storage. We'll also discuss them. For now, I'm just going with all. Same with these are the sizes. Let's say for example, as I mentioned yesterday, let's say when you buy a laptop, right, you will be asking for the certain what is the RAM, what is the storage, right? Let's say 4 GB RAM and 1 TB hard disk. Similarly, these are the sizes we have for creating your servers. So based on these service sizes, okay, your pricing will be varies. Okay, here I have just taken only one virtual CPU and 3.5 GB RAM, and it will be costing you this much of price per hour. And how many virtual machines I wanted, let's say if I take two, and this pricing will be calculated for the two servers. Okay, and here I have some of the offerings here. Okay, When you go with the pay-as-you-go model, okay, you will be given with this price. But here I have some additional features called reserved instances. What does this reserved instance is? Nothing but I can straight away tell to the Microsoft saying that, boss, I'm new to the cloud and I wanted to use this particular service or a server for next 1 year. Give me some discount. Okay. So then Microsoft will consider your request and they will give you certain, 28% of the discount. And here you could see you will be given with this particular discount. And let us imagine you promised to the Microsoft that saying that, hey boss, okay, I wanted to use it for next 3 years consistently. Give me some more discount. Okay, Microsoft will give some more discount. Okay, and your pricing will be reduced to the $131. Okay, so these are the some of the reserved instances we have. Okay, when you go with the reserved instances, you will be giving an agreement with the Microsoft saying that, I will be using this particular service or a server for next 1 year or 3 years. And in between, okay, you can just, break this particular agreement also. And when you break this particular agreement, again, your charges will be considered as a pay as you go. Whatever the usage you use, that will be charged. Right, so this is how we can calculate the pricing, and you can see it. And if at all if you wanted to export this information, I can just click on this particular export option here, and it will be downloaded with a certain Excel file, and you can just simply open it. And if somebody is asking you for the certain estimation, okay, for the services, okay, for creating certain VMs, certain storage accounts, certain databases, what you can do is you can come back here and you can choose the configuration and the region, and you can just export here. And Microsoft will generate a certain report as a estimated cost using this particular pricing calculator, and you can just come to this particular some conclusion. All right, so this is how we can use the pricing calculator. So this also we'll see in detail again back again from tomorrow. So with that, okay, I will be stopping my recording here.